If you're pumping and staring at the bottles thinking, "That's all," stop. You might not have low supply. You might be making one of 7 quiet mistakes that crush output. And the fix can start today. Take a breath with me. In and out. You're not failing. You're not bad at pumping. And your pump output is not a verdict on your worth or your milk supply. Pumping is a tool, not a test. And most moms were never taught how to use it in a way that supports their body. This video is a safe place, calm, practical, and science made simple so you can stop spiraling and start getting clearer results. In the next few minutes, I'll walk you through 7 pumping mistakes that quietly reduce output, especially for anxious, exhausted moms. You'll learn the stronger suction trap, why timing matters more than you think, and please don't miss this one. Flange fit, the hidden issue behind so many low output sessions. We'll also cover the letdown problem nobody explains, the cleaning mistake that can mess with performance, why stress is not just in your head when it comes to pumping, and the simple routine that makes pumping feel less chaotic. Stay until the end, because I'll give you a 3-minute pre-pumper set that can change your output and your mood. The baby finally slept, or you're back at work, or you're trying to build a stash. You hook up the pump, you sit there, and the milk barely drips. You watch the bottles like they're judging you, and your brain goes, "My supply is dropping. I'm not making enough. What if my baby isn't getting enough either?" So you Google, "Why am I pumping so little? Low milk supply signs. How many ounces is normal?" And the internet gives you extremes. Power pump 24/7. Drink this, buy this supplement, and you feel worse. Here's the soft truth, that panic is normal, but it's not always accurate. A pump is not your baby, and pumping output is influenced by equipment, fit, timing, technique, and your nervous system. So let's break the myth that's hurting you most. Here's the myth: if I don't pump much, I must not have much milk. This is where most moms are misled because pumping gives you a number, and numbers feel like truth. But evidence suggests pumping output is not a direct measure of supply for many moms. Some moms respond poorly to pumps but nurse perfectly fine. Some pumps don't fit well. Some sessions happen at the worst timing, and stress can block letdown. So the goal is not to push harder. The goal is to pump smarter and gentler so your body can release milk effectively. Now let's go mistake by mistake, with simple fixes you can try today. Mistake number 1. Using suction that's too strong. You crank the suction up because you think stronger equals more milk. But you feel pain, rubbing, or your nipples swell and turn white. It feels scary because you think, if I don't turn it up, I won't get enough, especially when you're already anxious about your supply. But what's actually normal is that more suction doesn't automatically mean more milk. Comfort matters because your body releases milk best when it feels safe and not in pain. The science is simple. Milk removal is helped by effective stimulation and letdown, not maximum suction. Pain can increase stress signals, which can actually make letdown harder. So, what can you do today? Use the highest suction that is comfortable, not the highest possible. Start low and gradually increase. If you feel pinching or see blanching or white nipples, reduce the suction. Watch for nipple swelling. Too much swelling can reduce milk flow. And this connects to the next mistake: pumping at the wrong time and thinking you're empty when you're not. Mistake number 2 is pumping at a time your body isn't ready. You might see this when you pump right after a long feed, late at night, or when you're stressed and rushing. The output is low, and it feels scary. You think, my supply is disappearing, or my pump just doesn't work. What's actually normal is that your output varies a lot by time of day, how far apart your pumping or feeding sessions are, your hydration levels, and your stress. The science is simple. Milk production and release are influenced by your body's natural rhythms and the frequency of milk removal. Evidence suggests many moms get higher output earlier in the day, but everyone is different. So what can you do today? If possible, try one pump session at your best window, which for many is in the morning. If you're pumping right after nursing, expect to see smaller amounts. This is completely normal. If you're exclusively pumping, aim for consistent spacing between your sessions rather than having random long gaps. And most importantly, don't judge your entire supply by a single pumping session. One session doesn't define you. A low session is not a diagnosis. Now don't miss this next one, because if your flange fit is off, everything else can look wrong even when your supply is fine. Stay with me. Number 3 is the hidden cause behind so many low output stories. Mistake number 3, and it's a big one: wrong flange size or a poor fit. You might be feeling rubbing, pinching, or swelling when you pump. Your nipples might look puffy afterwards. Your output is low or inconsistent. You might see too much of your areola being pulled into the flange tunnel, or not enough. This feels scary because you assume, I'm just not making enough milk, and you start trying all sorts of extreme hacks. But what's actually normal is that most moms were never properly sized for their flanges. And your body changes postpartum. A flange that is too big or too small can seriously reduce effective milk removal and cause a lot of discomfort. The science is simple. Effective pumping depends on proper stimulation and comfortable movement of the nipple in the tunnel. If the fit causes swelling or friction, milk flow can slow down, and your sessions will feel discouraging. So what can you do today? Here are some gentle steps. If you can, measure your nipple diameter, not the areola, and compare that measurement to your pump's flange recommendations. Look for signs of a poor fit: pinching, blanching, swelling, pain, or excessive areola being pulled into the tunnel. Consider trying a different size insert if one is available for your pump. And if you're unsure, getting help from a lactation professional for sizing can make a world of difference. Flange fit matters a lot. Next up, letdown, because you can have plenty of milk and still pump almost nothing if that letdown isn't happening. Stay with me, because the next fix is often the fastest emotional relief. Mistake number 4 is staying in the wrong mode the whole time, so your letdown isn't triggered. What you see is that you pump for 15 or 20 minutes and it's just slow drips, or nothing until the very end. This feels terrifying because you think, my body isn't working, or I'm drying up. What is actually normal is that sometimes your body needs a little extra help triggering that letdown reflex, especially when you're tired, tense, or pumping instead of nursing. Milk being present in the breast doesn't mean it will be released. The science is simple. Evidence suggests that milk release is tied to a hormonal reflex that responds to feelings of safety and familiar cues. If your body is stressed, it can be much harder to release milk, even if the milk is there. So, what can you do today? Start your pumping session with the stimulation or letdown mode for a couple of minutes. Once the milk starts flowing, switch to the expression mode. If the flow slows down significantly, try switching back to the stimulation mode for another minute or 2 to trigger another letdown. You can also add a warm compress to your breasts or do gentle breast massage before and during pumping. And for many moms, looking at a photo or video of their baby helps. Next, we'll cover the sneaky equipment issue that quietly reduces suction over time and makes you think your body is the problem. Mistake number 5 is using old parts, having a poor seal, or inconsistent pump performance. You might notice that your pump feels weaker than it used to. Your output has dropped over time. You feel like you're doing everything right, but the results have changed. This feels scary because you immediately assume, my supply is dropping, especially if you're already anxious. But what's actually normal is that pump parts wear out. Those little valves and membranes can lose their elasticity. Tubing can affect suction if there's moisture or cracks in it. A bad seal anywhere in the system can reduce the pump's efficiency. The science is simple. Pumps work by creating rhythmic suction and pressure changes. If the seal is broken or the parts are worn, that suction can drop, meaning you get less effective milk removal. So, what can you do today? Check your valves and membranes for any stretching or tears. Make sure all your pump parts are completely dry and assembled snugly. Replace worn parts as recommended by your pump brand. It's usually more often than you think. Check your flange alignment, and even your pumping bra fit and off angle can reduce the seal. If you suspect your pump is getting weaker, try testing it with brand new parts before you start blaming your body. Always check the parts before blaming your body. Next, let's talk about how multitasking and rushing can reduce your output, not because you're doing something wrong, but because your nervous system is just doing its job. Mistake number 6 is pumping in stress mode. You sit down to pump, but you're tense. You're answering emails, watching the clock, doom scrolling on your phone. Your output is lower, and you feel more and more panicked. This is scary because you think, my body is failing me, and then that pressure just makes everything worse. But what's actually normal is that your body isn't broken. It's responsive. Stress can make milk release harder. This is normal physiology, not a personal weakness. The science is that stress responses can interfere with the letdown reflex. Your body prioritizes safety first. So pumping while panicking can become a negative loop. Low output leads to more stress, which leads to a harder letdown, which leads to lower output. Stress affects letdown. You are not weak. So, what can you do today? Try a 60-second reset before you pump. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. Unclench your jaw. Take a slow exhale that's longer than your inhale. Use a warm compress or do a gentle massage. And maybe watch something calming or listen to music instead of monitoring the ounces in the bottle. Your nervous system matters. A sense of calm helps milk release. Now for the final mistake, not having a consistent, realistic routine so you're always reacting instead of feeling in control. Stay with me because the last fix is the one that makes pumping sustainable. Mistake number 7 is having no consistent plan or an extreme plan that you can't maintain. You see that some days you pump a lot and some days not at all. You power through sessions, you get burned out, and then you feel guilty for not keeping up. This is scary because that inconsistency makes you feel like you're constantly behind, constantly failing. But what's actually normal is that consistency is hard when you're postpartum, sleep deprived, and caring for a baby. The goal is not perfection, it's finding a plan that actually fits your real life. The science is that milk production responds to regular, effective milk removal over time, not intensity, not punishment, just steady signals. Sustainable is always better than perfect. So what can you do today? Pick the gentlest, most sustainable version of a plan. Choose 2 to 4 pumping anchors in your day that you can usually hit. For example, morning, midday, and before bed, but adjust it to your life. If you miss one, don't try to make up for it by overdoing it later. Just return to your next anchor time. Try to pair pumping with something soothing, like a cup of tea, a favorite show, or just some deep breathing. And track your trends weekly, not hourly. In a moment, I'll give you that 3-minute pre-pump reset and go over the signs for when to get extra help so you can stop guessing. If you're ever worried about your baby's weight gain, hydration, diaper output, or you suspect a medical issue, please contact your pediatric provider or a lactation professional. If pumping has been making you feel like you're failing, I want you to hear this. Your output is not your worth. Your bottles are not a report card. Pumping is a sensitive skill. It depends on parts, fit, timing, letdown, and stress. So when your output changes, it doesn't automatically mean your supply is gone. It often just means something in the system needs a small adjustment. Here's your 3-minute pre-pump reset. Use this instead of panic. First, spend 60 seconds with warmth, using a warm cloth or compress on your breasts. Then, do 30 seconds of gentle massage or compressions. Next, for 30 to 60 seconds, just breathe. A long exhale, drop your shoulders, unclench your jaw. Then, start your pump in stimulation mode and switch to expression mode only when your milk starts to flow. And here's the most calming reframe. You don't need perfect output. You need a plan that supports you and your baby. Trust your body, trust your instincts, and ask for support when you need it without shame. If this video helped you breathe a little easier, please like it so it finds the mom who's crying over a pump session right now. And subscribe for more calm, science-backed reassurance without guilt or pressure. Now let's make the comments a real support room. How old is your baby right now? Which mistake hit you the hardest? Like, oh, that's me. And if you want, tell us, what's the one thing you wish someone had told you about pumping? You are not alone, and you're doing better than you think. Thanks for watching.